Chetan, we're days away now from the start of the India-Australia Test Series. I mean, when these two sides meet on Indian soil, it's almost inevitably exciting. Plenty of talking points. We just look back, some of the memories I can remember. Harbhajan Singh's hat-trick, VVS Lakshman's double century, Michael Clarke's debut, of course. We're hoping for more excitement this time around.
Yes, it's always been an exciting clash, India versus Australia, and it's been a decade of excitement, really. I mean, the last decade has been a sort of a golden golden era in this particular rivalry. Obviously, the Border Gavaskar Trophy is one of the highlights of the international test calendar, and not just the Indian soil. I mean, always whenever India's gone, just forget the last 4-0 defeat. On the previous two encounters, India went to Australia. They were quite competitive there. But again, it puts into highlight as to what has happened to Indian cricket in the last couple of years. When you take the 4-0 defeat in Australia as a pointer. They've been on a bit of a downturn, and when you mention names like Harbhajan Singh and VVS Lakshman and Rahul Dravid, the two batsmen are gone now, and Harbhajan Singh is himself on a bit of a poor run of form. So it just highlights that India are very, very weakened as they go into this contest. Obviously, they lost 2-1 at home to England as well, so that also rankles in memory. So the last 3 test series against top opposition have all ended in defeat, resounding defeats for India, and it doesn't bode well going into another home encounter against another top opposition. So yes, as you said, the one name that you mentioned there, Michael Clarke, he debuted in India, similar to what Alistair Cook did. Will he end up as a winning captain as well, just like Cook did? It remains to be seen.
Now, you mentioned there Harbhajan Singh, and let's just talk about the Indian squad. Another headline from that squad announcement a few weeks ago now, no Gautam Gambhir. What have you made of the makeup of India's squad for this the first few tests?
I think the batting is, again, despite its poor form, the batting selected itself, except the odd choice of the opening combination. Gautam Gambhir was dropped, but then he played for India A and scored 100 there, and he captained the side well as well. So it's a bit of an odd mix, really. Probably he needed that kick to reassess his form, reassess his mental makeup, and get back to scoring runs. So that's a topic for another day. It does put into scanner as to how many matches Shikhar Dhawan and Murali Vijay have, and either of them will probably end up playing both the test matches, because playing one opener in one test and another opener in another test, that doesn't really make any sense, unless of course injury happens. Probably Murali Vijay will get the nod because he's played against Australia earlier, and he scored 100 as well. So also the first test is at his home ground, so maybe Murali Vijay just might get the nod. Shikhar Dhawan has had a decent Ranji season. Murali Vijay has not had that good a Ranji season. He's been in good nick in the Irani Trophy, scoring 100 and a double, 100 in the 2 Irani Trophy matches this past season. But I think the major doubt was whether Wasim Jaffer should have been picked, and it's been a huge debate given the sort of form that Wasim Jaffer has been in this past season, despite not playing the entire season. So that was a big debate, but probably with South Africa on the horizon, the South African tour on the horizon, maybe Wasim Jaffer will be a shoo-in for that one. However, coming back to this test series, probably Murali Vijay, as I said, will open the innings with Virendra Sehwag. That's my punt. I mean, might as well be Shikhar Dhawan. We don't really know. But the rest of the batting selects itself: Cheteshwar Pujara, Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli. Obviously, a bit of a scanner on all of them, except perhaps Pujara. Virat Kohli was not in that good a form against England, and Sachin Tendulkar really had a miserable time. And the onus will be on him to fight it out in the middle against Australia, 4 test matches. And if not, we've already seen him retire from the ODI format. Might just be his last 4 tests if he doesn't perform with the bat therein as well. It's a big question mark. A bigger question mark, however, is the number 6 spot. Ajinkya Rahane and Ravindra Jadeja are the 2 choices in the squad for that particular spot. Ravindra Jadeja had a decent outing first up, but that was more owing to the circumstances than strategy or tactics. India played 3 spinners there, and he was part of that particular strategy. 4 spinners there, and he was part of that particular strategy. So, not really sure India will go in again with 4 spinners, because they have Harbhajan Singh and R. Ashwin and Pragyan Oja all in the squad. They have 3 pacers as well. Ishant Sharma, who's a bit whose fitness is a bit under the scanner again. Ashok Dinda, I'm not really sure if he's such a good pick, but Bhuvnesh Kumar is in the lineup for a Test debut. So if India go with one pacer, then it will probably be Bhuvneshwar Kumar and the three spinners. And if that happens, then probably Ajinkya Rahane will get the nod ahead of Ravindra Jadeja. Otherwise, if India go in with two pacers and three spinners, then Ajinkya Rahane will probably sit out and Ravindra Jadeja will again get the nod ahead. So India could go either ways with a 5-bowler combination or a 4-bowler combination plus an extra batsman. So they might just want to strengthen their batting because that's been a major problem for them. They've not been able to put runs on the board, and that's been a major point why they've been beaten so soundly in the last couple of years in Test cricket. And yes, there's also Mahendra Singh Dhoni. His captaincy is always under scanner now. 2-1 series defeat to England at home. Whenever India were at their weakest, they still managed to win at home. So that has really put some added pressure on him. And if either of Cheteshwar Pujara or Virat Kohli do very well in this series and India still end up losing this series, that probably might be the end of Dhoni's Test captaincy.
Well, we'll wait and see on that one. Now, Australia have played a couple of tour games already. The first one for me was very much about getting used to conditions. Just a select 11, they didn't really have a full team. But then they played the India A team. Gautam Gambhir got some runs. They were made to follow on, but they finished strongly. What did you make of the tour games, if you think you can draw any firm conclusions from them?
I'm not sure if there are any conclusions to be drawn from the tour games because, it's just practice. And a majority of this Australian side hasn't really played in India, IPL apart. And pitches for IPL are very, very different from, we can always talk about, playing on the subcontinent pitches, getting used to the bounce and the movement here, or the spin here. But again, IPL pitches are very, very different from Test cricket or first-class cricket pitches. They break apart really, really quickly. So I wouldn't read too much in the tour games. Obviously, Indian spinners had a little bit of success. Unknown spinners, Pervez Rasool and Pervez Rasool had some success in the first innings. But again, as I said, wouldn't read too much into it because Australia are a class side. They're obviously weakened by Ricky Ponting and Michael Hussey departing from the scene. So their batting is a bit untested. Perhaps the weakest Australian batting side that has visited these shores in the last couple of decades, as also the weakest bowling attack, perhaps. They've already announced their lineup for the first test this morning. They're only going with one spinner, Nathan Leon, and they're going with three-pace attack with Moses Enriquez getting a test debut. So again, the tour games, I'm not sure I can read too much into that. Shane Watson batting at number 4. That's the one thing that has come out of those tour games, with David Warner, lined up for a test recall. So after injury, so. Interesting mix for Australia, a bit of inexperience there, but a lot of passion, a lot of aggression and fierce determination to win. And of course, I think the main player will be Michael Clarke, as always, because he's been a standout performer for Australia in Test cricket in the recent times. Again, as we mentioned earlier in our podcast, that it's a great series and it's an exciting series to look forward to.
And some of the things you've already mentioned, Chetan, points to me. So this is quite an important series for India. You've mentioned Mahendra Singh Dhoni under pressure. You mentioned possibly Sachin Tendulkar's final Test series, and also the fact that they lost at home against England. So they're really going to want to bounce back and prove that they are still a force on their home soil.
Yes, I think it's a very, very, very important Test series or a Test marker in Indian cricket at the moment. Also for Australia, because they are rebuilding and it's an important tour, a very tough tour. India is always a tough challenge for any visiting opposition. But again, coming back to the Indian team, a very, very important tour. There are many, many question marks that need to be answered. MS Dhoni being one, Sachin Tendulkar being another one. And of course, not to forget, it's a transition phase. The bowling is in transition, the batsmen are in transition, the entire team is in transition. So we've already seen the first step of transition not go too well. As I mentioned, even in 90s when India were very, very, very poor overseas, which we have seen in the 8-0 loss to England and Australia away, they still managed to beat those teams at home. It's a very tough challenge for India, and you don't really get to say that when they're playing at home. So we'll have to wait and watch as to how the series pans out.
And finally, Chetan, let's just look ahead to the Chennai game. What can we expect from the pitch? And I wonder if the weather will be a factor at all.
Not sure if there will be any weather weather interruptions, but there is a bit of a chance that the pitch might be a little underprepared. And when you look at the Indian team that has been selected, there are three spinners with an option of a fourth one, and the chance that they might go in with three spinners, whether they play four bowlers or five bowlers, I think it shows that the Chennai pitch will be a dry one, a slow turner, and possibly a little underprepared.